powers. But what's common among all of the superheroes, whether it's Deep Sing or traditional, is the ethos and the striving for justice and goodness in all of his adventures.
Finally, through our power, women shouldn't fill their heads with numbers and reading. We'll soon be free of the curse of education. We must answer to Salar Alamak, our most feared Taliban commander in the world. Then we must be punished. Let it burn.
As you wish.
Mr. D, this little one has something for you.
So, what do we have here? Someday, you will be a great artist.
The first sort of core piece is really the screenplay structure that I wrote. Here I was exploring what it would be like for a superhero who has the appearance of a Sikh to confront a TSA agent and get a lot of assumptions made about who he is based on how he looks, because that's a typical experience that a Sikh would have. But also really wanted to draw on the Sikh experience as well. So it was a really cool part of the process to look through the Mahan Kush, which is the Sikh encyclopedia, and look at various traditional Sikh weapons and think about how that might play into his arsenal and the gadgets and so forth that he would use as a modern Sikh superhero, but maybe have a tie back to tradition. The next stage was really to convert it then into comic book format. So here's an example of the comic book format, where instead of scene by scene, we're laying it out page by page and frame by frame. And here what we did was then, once I engaged with Amit Tayal, who's the artist, Amit would draw directly from this description and this work to create his images. So he would come up with drafts and sketches, then would come to a more fully realized version as we went back and forth to come out with something like in these cases, these are also colored here. It would eventually turn into the finished comic with all of its glory here, with fully realized comic pages that tell the story. And that's how Super Sikh came to life. One of the difficulties in portraying women in comics, when you don't have a woman writer or creator or artist, is that it tends to be structured for the male point of view. And what I'm really interested in are women as characters and their stories and their uniqueness and what they bring to the table. In Super Sikh, the Gurpreet Kaur character, a genius scientist in the lab, but then you also see the familiarity that she has with the main character, who is her cousin, and the banter and teasing that goes on between them really shows, just another dynamic to her personality. The character Janelle Walker in Super Sikh, she at first appears to be a damsel in distress that Super Sikh is there to save, but then you realize very quickly that she is actually a really strong character, and the hero has kind of misread the situation.
All nasty written up, and look, and Eileen's gonna sign it too.
You've had at least one girl. The amazing thing is being inside the comic store, where you spend a lot of time in the comic store, and you see all of the comics that you love or new comics, and it's this sensory overload. I mean, for me, it's just sort of been a dream to be able to see the comic in that environment, like it's home. Like it's finally where it belongs, in its natural habitat. All right, I've signed it here, but I'll make it out to you personally. What's your name?
Manfred. I grew up in the house that Mickey Mouse built because my father was an animator for Walt Disney for 40 years. So I grew up around seeing every Disney animation that there was. So to see what's come out as a Sikh comic, I might just start reading comics now.
I always find it interesting to read about
characters who are from a place where I'm not necessarily from.